call came into our call center one day asking for Naomi Barniskis. The receptionist transferred it to me, and sure enough, it was my call. So, Michael, I understand your pain. All right, without further ado, I'm going to call our fearless leader up here, Andrea, and she's going to tell us a story. Andrea.
Thanks, everybody. So I have something I'm excited to share. I wrote this a couple of years ago, and it's been on Facebook, so some of you might have seen it before. But this is, as I wrote it 2 years ago, not perfect, but this is the story of the Greenery. So this is what I wrote. Dear friend of the Greenery, it has taken me some time to be able to write this. So much has happened, so much of it out of my control. I feel strongly that the Greenery deserved better than it got. By the Greenery, I mean first and foremost, the patients who trusted us and allowed us to serve them. You truly have made it all worthwhile. Thank you. Our staff. It was a handful of dedicated individuals who made the Greenery a place that patients could trust. So many people deserve to be thanked. The few that ensured that the Greenery focused on patients need to be named. Joseph Hopkins, Chelsea Hopkins, and Jeffrey Carey. Without them, the Greenery never would have existed. Thank you, Joseph, Chelsea, and Jeffrey. Charles Arthur Goddard III has supported the mission of the Greenery long before we opened our doors and is still by my side at their bitter closing. Thank you, Charles. Marina Asher Richard was one of our first members and volunteers and our first hired staff member. Marina devoted herself to making cannabis knowledge and information an integral part of the patient experience. The value this holds for patients on a practical daily level cannot be underestimated. Thank you, Marina. Justin Luke has been the Greenery's cheerleader. Justin showed so much compassion to everyone that he interacted with daily that it was completely infectious. I know because so many people have told me, I've witnessed it in other people, and I felt it in my own life. Justin's love and compassion allowed people to accept the help and healing the Greenery offered. Also one of the first cannabis testers in Oregon, Justin successfully ran the Greenery's testing lab before it was required. Thank you, Justin. Christine Totten brought an infectious enthusiasm for everything Greenery that translated into mountains of self-initiated work. As medicine director, Christine was our bridge from grower to patient. Always balancing fairness to the grower and affordable access to the patient, Christine did much of the nuts and bolts tasks that made the Greenery function. The direct impact that Christine's work had on the quality of our patients' lives is immeasurable. Thank you, Christine. Mel Barniskis is a personal hero of mine. She pushed me through wanting to give up so many times. Through tears of fear, frustration, loss, and joy, through rants and mistakes and decisions she didn't agree with, she was there. She was there gently and firmly reminding me why. Why are you doing this? She'd ask. All of the temporary emotions and reaction would fade behind pictures of our patients, and then we'd go back to work. Thank you, Mel. Roger Blakesley believed in us and believed in the Greenery and never stopped telling us. He personally grew and donated much of the medicine that we had the pleasure of handing out free to patients that needed it. Thank you, Roger. Jay-Z, you're the best. I'll leave it at that. Terry Knight is an inspiration to me. She has given and given and given in such a variety of important and actually helpful ways that I'm not sure what to pick. Suffice it to say, Terry gave a lot and asked for very little. Oh, and all with a smile. Thank you, Terry. Lee Berger is my attorney, mentor, reality check, and friend, not in that order. The Greenery would not have lasted as long as it did or been able to have the impact on patients that it did if Lee hadn't been our bodyguard. Tireless, creative, dedicated, intelligent, and thorough. Lee held the torch and led the way through the valley of the shadow of death. I must also mention he really cares. Thank you, Lee. There are so many people that were involved and important in making the Greenery the great place that it was, and I include all of you when I say thank you. Thank you for everything that you did and gave and are. Thank you for giving of yourself and accepting what was given. This is what the Greenery was and what we loved. People helping people is beautiful and life-affirming. We could all use more of it. Our story. Running the Greenery often felt like having a bullied child. So beautiful and pure to me, I could not see what so many thought was scary and ugly and seedy. The Greenery opened in 2 rooms of what was the Adhara Wellness Center. After just a few short months, our landlord received a letter from the Oregon Attorney General threatening to seize her property and fine her tens of thousands of dollars if she continued to rent to us. These letters were an annual occurrence and were sent to anyone conducting in or renting to cannabis businesses. Needless to say, this terrified her. It was very important for the Greenery to be a positive part of the community, so we agreed to look for a new space. We found one in a shared building on Washington Street. Although we had thoroughly disclosed our activities, the landlord received permission from the neighbors. They started complaining the week we moved in. They couldn't stand the smell, despite a thorough carbon filtration system installed at our expense, and complained about our clientele. After just 3 short months, we were again searching for a new home. Finally, we found a great space on Hersey Street in a warehouse that had previously been an art gallery. The Greenery finally hit its stride. We worked without interruption for over a year. Then those annual threats from the Attorney General found our new landlord. They wanted us out. We worked out an agreement to give us some time and then agreed to let them break our lease. Again, the Greenery was trying to prove that a cannabis facility could be a positive part of the community. We did not want to force ourselves where we weren't wanted. It had become increasingly apparent that if we wanted a permanent home, we would need a landlord that was in it with us. It turned out that I was the only one willing. I started looking for a building to purchase and found a lovely location in Phoenix, Oregon. Phoenix seemed like a smart choice for many reasons. Centrally located with affordable property, Phoenix also looked like a place that the Greenery could have a positive, visible impact. Inspired by the hugely positive impact that Oaksterdam University had on the poor urban neighborhood where they located, we thought we could do the same in this poor little town. My real estate agent, who I believe secretly wears a cape, and I went to the City of Phoenix Planning Department. We explained which building we were interested in and exactly what we wanted to do. A few weeks later, we received a letter stating that yes, we were an approved use and the licensing code that we would fall under. Great. We started negotiations to buy the building. The sellers were and are incredibly supportive of our work. An angel investor made the purchase possible. With all of these people coming together to make us a home and the green light from the city, it seemed like everything was finally going our way. The purchase of the building was completed, and 3 days later, the city attorney of Phoenix called me and told me that the Greenery was not welcome in Phoenix. Enough was enough. We would stay and we would fight. Our patients needed us and we would be there. We helped our patients through constant threats from the city, through 33 bogus citations, through countless hours of city council meetings, town hall meetings, patient meetings, hundreds of flyers, a referendum initiative, a dirty city council election being dragged through court. We helped our patients. We ran our resource center and managed everything else on top of it. We've been called criminals and drug addicts, accused of endangering children and blighting the community. We've been ignored, lied to, laughed at, scorned, slandered, threatened, and attacked, and through it all, we helped our patients. Of this, I'm proud. I'm not sorry or regretful or ashamed. I'm proud of the work that I did. I'm humbled by the work of those with me. I'm humbled by the loyalty from our patients and growers. I'm humbled by those who sacrificed more for longer that allowed this experience at all. I can only hope that what we gave and what we did helps at all make the path easier for more patients to have better access. The bitter end. The city of Phoenix won in court, not because their lawyer is smarter, their argument better, their evidence valid, or their cause right, but because government always supports government. Most of our arguments were ignored, and the city won in direct contradiction with their own law. As Mayor Jeff Bella testified on the stand, being left with debt, loss, and sadness is an easy recipe for bitterness. That's why I've struggled to write this. I've made a lot of mistakes. I hurt others and was hurt in the process. None of it was ever fair. So now, as I try to lay to rest my poor, bullied, beautiful dream, I want to remember it for what it was. The Greenery was a patient resource center for OMMP patients. Our goals were to provide access to safe, quality medicine to patients who needed it, to do this in a friendly professional environment, and to help remove the stigma for patients. We achieved these goals. One more piece I must mention. Our compassion program was amazing. We gave medicine to whoever needed it, regardless of their ability to pay. This was funded by grower donations, volunteer labor, and Greenery resources. It is the single thing I am the most proud of. I hope to find a way to offer this in the future. So now I will say it, the Greenery is over. I'm sorry to those I hurt or disappointed. Thank you deeply and sincerely to everyone involved. I hope you remember it with fondness. I will. For me, it was all worth it.